Greetings, all. This is Cicely McClennan with New African Image Makers, and you have landed on From Seed to Systems podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, Nazezia from Burkina Faso Live. So let's get this quick intro and we'll get right into a conversation I know a lot of people are interested in hearing from.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the female solution.
Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Sister Nazezia, for joining us. And we have an extraordinary opportunity. I always say the Female Solution podcast system is a gift because it has so many beautiful and powerful sisters on this platform, and they are extraordinary, and we're connected in extraordinary ways to extraordinary people. So this is one of those people that we have on today. If I could just get a double screen, that would be great, so we can see this beautiful sister. Yes. Okay. Yes. So you know what, everybody, I'm broadcasting live actually from the South Shore Community Farmers Market, and I'm actually working this market, me and some of my friends. So this is a double live once again from Chicago as well as from Burkina Faso. Nazezia, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you for that warm introduction. I'm
You
glad
look
to be
so
here.
beautiful. You look so beautiful.
Thanks. You too. You glowing, Cicely.
Oh my goodness. That's the sunshine. You got about 3 minutes of sunshine in Chicago. So I'm out here in it.
Uh,
So I really we don't have enough time. So I hope you'll be like my mom correspondent. But I want to, dig into what our topics for today and talk about, because I know everybody is curious. I know you get a lot of questions from people and a lot of weird takes where people are, hey, turn off CNN Africa. Okay. That's not going to work for you. So the first thing I think people generally start off with is, what made you move to Africa? And specifically, talk a little bit about the seeds, that started your repatriation to Burkina Faso.
uh-huh. Okay. So the decision to move to Africa began, it began about 10 years ago. And I have been a member of the Earth Center, which is a multifaceted nonprofit organization that seeks to bridge the gap between people of indigenous West African cultures and the modern world. And so through the Earth Center, I was able to reconnect with our ancestral culture and then also realign myself with the path of our ancestors. So about 10 years ago, my husband, he just put it on the table. I want to move the family to West Africa one day. So he's the one who actually, put the idea into words. And in response to that, I told him, before I make a move to West Africa, I have to actually go there. I hadn't been there yet. And so eventually the opportunity came to go there. I took 2 of my children with me. One was 3 at the time, one was 8, 2 and 8. And so I was also pregnant at the time. So that really shaped my perspective.
Wow.
Yeah, it shaped my perspective on the continent, being there, the culture, everything, I was definitely just overwhelmed upon arrival because there's the red dirt that you see. And that's something I always dreamed about. I'm like, oh, I can't wait till the day where I can smell it, where I can touch it. And so I definitely, I learned a lot through that first trip. At the same time, it was very challenging being pregnant because it's extremely hot here already. So, if you got something in the oven, it's like amplified so much. And so that coupled with like other environmental factors, I actually said at the time to myself, I'm not coming back over here again while I'm pregnant, never again. And so fast forward, a few years later, and January of 2021, during the middle of the pandemic, another opportunity arose, like finances and everything aligned, where I had the opportunity to come again, but this time with my whole family, my husband and the 6 children that I had that I now have. And so I had to reflect a little bit, but being that Africa is the source of humanity, is the source of all the culture that I wanted myself and my children to be immersed into, I made the decision to go over there even while I was pregnant. So once we got over there, then the decision, came about of, well, do we really want to go back? Do I really want to go back to the United States where the pandemic was going on? Because over here, there wasn't really any signs of a pandemic going on as there was in the West. So there was that difference. And that was one thing, but also, I had to assess where I really wanted to lose the opportunity to stay out here long term, which was something that I was now also kind of dreaming of myself. And so we made the decision, to turn a 6-month trip into a permanent stay here. So that's.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. That is amazing. Well, I know the heat, to be honest, as I enter into the West African airspace, as soon as we land, you get off the plane has been air conditioned. To me, the first and most significant thing that happens is that heat hits you. Yeah. So once that heat hits you, besides that, what is another like significant aspect that you really had to adjust for when you first came?
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things that took me off guard and that I had to adjust to was being as that, when we come over here, those of us who come into the community, who are members of the Earth Center, we actually make the journey to immerse ourselves within the culture. So, a lot of trips can be touristy, but it's really to just learn, like I said, the ways of our ancestors. And you gotta be comfortable with being in nature, like not, walking in the park and looking at the little birdies and butterflies, but actually relying on nature and working in harmony with nature. So I'll say just the blackouts, of course, when it comes to electricity in the urban areas, those blackouts can happen at any time. But it kind of also intersects with, assuming the role of a woman. Gender roles in West Africa, whether you in the bush or even if you're in the urban areas. I'm in a semi-urban area, which is the city of Bobo Dioulasso, Burkina Faso, which is about 6 hours southwest of the capital of Ouagadougou. And so it's like, it's a surprise when certain things happen like that, but it's like you have to keep carrying on. Like if the lights shut off. I remember one time there was a party and I had actually given birth. So there was a party in my home. The baby was fairly young, a newborn. And so there were a lot of people over. The purpose was to bring people together in the community. But I dipped off. I was changing the baby's diaper, and then the blackout happened. When I came out that room, everybody was gone. So it's like, I saw things all over the place. But I'm like, I don't feel like doing it. There was someone else, a young man who was staying with us. I'm like, okay, maybe he'll take his turn in the morning and clean up. So this is too much. I'm done. I'm going to bed. And so, in the morning time, an elder, one of the matriarchs in the community, she welcomes everybody, receives everybody. She feeds people who come in through the community. You can go and get a nice healthy meal from her. But she dropped in, and so we had to go down on our knees. That's how you position yourselves in front of elders. It's a sign of respect. So I was just listening to the lecture about cleanliness, and it was valid. There's different standards to cleanliness. Like when we coming from the West, we can have a home full of clutter. We can leave the dishes to the next day. People got all types of ways to just maneuver around a clean space. And so, or an unclean space, I should say. And so, just like I say, you have to make sure you just get things done. And at the same time, considering that, maybe you're in a phase where you have just given birth, you have to set boundaries as well. Like, look at the situation, what's led up to me being in the position of having a party in my home after I just pushed out a baby. So, having those boundaries and standing firm on them, being able to sacrifice, and at the same time, not compromising on certain things that are going to be good for your centeredness, your groundedness, and everything.
Oh my God, I can only imagine. I think right now, I don't know if it's because of my age or whatever, but I find people in Ghana to be accommodating. So I can't imagine, even being left to do. If I pick up something or try to clean, they out there saying, "No, let me do it, let me do it." So that could be one interesting difference. Of course, I've never lived in. I've always been in the city, so I wonder if that's one of the differences in terms of like the expectations.
Yeah, and then also, this was a group of teen girls, so as much as they do, they cooked the whole meal, they served it up, but it's like you have to kind of step in and like organize. So the next time I was in a similar position, I'm just like in advance, I'm like, hey, I need you to make sure it's clean after the food is served. And some basic, communication like that it helps.
Yeah. So given the transition of, being here in Chicago, in the US or whatever, do you feel like your identity or your connection with who you are has shifted some? And if, if you feel like, you've changed in some way, or you look at yourself differently, in what ways would you say that you've changed, or do you look at yourself differently in any kind of way, as a human, as a mom, as a woman?
Yeah, I definitely have to push myself more, and I touched on that in regards to like when it comes to the gender roles, but there's different things as far as being resourceful. I've definitely had to adopt that quality of being resourceful. Here, if something breaks, then you just have to figure it out, and you have to like take something from around you and then tweak it and get the same results. Also, spirituality is pretty important to me, and so it's definitely been much more crucial to do my daily spiritual activities, to talk to my ancestors. Um, if there's something that I'm going through, then I keep my ancestors informed. And as far as the kids, within West African cultures, the kids, the home is all seen as an extension of the woman. So it's definitely been very helpful to um, learn about just how a woman plants seeds within her children. They learn from us. They observe everything that we do. So a lot of times, like even if I don't feel like cleaning, say like cleaning the kitchen floor in the morning, we do have I have assistants with cleaning the floors now. Someone comes and sweeps and mops them every day. But if she's not feeling well, I take on that responsibility, or there's other things.
Right.
My children are watching me, so I need to inspire them. I can't not be doing the same thing that I'm expecting them to do. And then also I have to raise their morale. I have to encourage them and help them understand too the importance of kind of pulling their weight in the family, contributing in the family. Have talks with them. I'm working on having more talks with them because I know they're going to grow up and raise their own family. So there's all of that interconnectedness there. Everything I put into them, they're going to have to transmit to their children.
Right. So far, what are some of the interesting differences that you see between raising children here in the U.S. versus raising children in Burkina Faso?
Oh wow, there's so many differences. Let's see. The first thing that comes to mind is when I'm in the West, there's the popular concept coming from family, especially, of let the kids be kids. If they're doing something that's challenging for them, or if they just have to clean up after themselves after they've made a mess, it's like, just leave it. They need to have fun, etc. So here, there's definitely a work ethic that you are expected to instill within your children. But it's not you alone, it's the whole community. Like it's the work ethic, is just like an approach to survival. For instance, I have a daughter who she's very picky. She's a very picky eater. So I had her next door the other day, and the woman over there, who actually, she has 6 children over there. She's from Togo. Not all of them are her biological children. It's like, in-laws and this and that. And she's staying with another woman. But she once I mentioned, because they noticed my daughter, she's getting a little bit skinnier because of her pickiness. She turns to the girl, she's like, Tennant, you need to start eating. You gotta, she gave her the whole spiel just about not being picky and, continue to eat what I'm feeding to her. So I really appreciate when people are addressing the child directly over here, as opposed to, kind of shaming the parent and leaving it at that. Like, look at your. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Okay, we having a little connection problem. It's interesting how it's not really what you think when it comes to Burkina Faso. So much sensationalism is going on in the news. And here we are, we've been talking for 20 minutes and we haven't once talked about anything related to a coup or Donald Trump or anything. Just family, cultural immersion, and raising our children, and just being afforded the opportunity to do so in an environment that actually allows you to focus more on developing yourself and your children. How about we take a break now and see if we can get Sister Nazezia back in the studio. and then we'll take it from there. Okay, you
Can you hear
back.
me?
So yeah, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna take a quick break now, and then when we come back, we'll continue on talking about, all the good stuff. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, hi, I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody: friends, neighbors, family members, co workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection, somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, childcare services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money.
Are back. Let's see if we can get Sister Necessity back in here. Oh, we are having some kind of glitch
Okay.
with the internet.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I wanted to get to that comment I saw on the screen. I was able to enlarge it so I could actually read it. Oh, can we get her back?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay, good.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, it's no problem. These are the things, these are the challenges that we have to face, and we are keeping it moving. Somebody put an interesting question in the chat. Actually, Mama Naima did. And she was asking, what are your children's future expectations looking like, given Burkina Faso's current focus on self-reliance? Like, what are they envisioning in terms of, their studies, of, just how they perceive themselves as part of this push for self-reliance?
Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay. All right. You know, I I try to keep the children updated, and I check in with them in regards to what's going on. So they're pretty nonchalant about things.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow,
pretty.
wow.
Yeah, so it hasn't too much, changed the way that they're approaching things. That just may be to their age right now.
Yeah, because they are kind of young.
Yeah, I mean, my oldest is 15. The other one is 13, 8, 5, and 3, and 10.
Okay. Yeah, so they kind of young yet. And I mean, I take all that because part of what I was observing is that, we've been talking for 20 good minutes, and we haven't once talked about any of the hoopla that you hear in the media. And I know in my experience, I have found Africa, and especially living in West Africa, to give me more of an opportunity to just be myself, be a mom, put some focus on that in a way that I wasn't able to focus on here in the US because of all the other things that are going on here. So I was really curious about that aspect as well in terms of just the day to day, you know, and then Mama Naima chiming in with that question about, the future and how they're looking at things and how it's shaping, what they're doing or if at all. So that was a huge point of interest that I wanted us to really, really talk about really more because I don't think the average person here in the US feels or can even imagine. If you don't go to Africa yourself and spend time there, I don't think you can imagine um what it feels like to just be in your skin and be okay with that. It's kind of like a pressure that you feel here that you don't know you have until you don't have it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so, one of the things that I noticed when we first came over, because my children are in an international school, I've
Okay.
homeschooled in the United States up until a
Yeah.
certain um, but here, for one thing, French was the national language until President Ibrahim Traore changed the language
Right.
to include the more traditional languages. And so, already there was a pretty advantageous position for the kids to be in because when you look at the school books that they have, there's images of little Black children, illustrations. So that was definitely a relief because I remember opening up a history book in elementary school, at high school, and you just see pictures of Europeans. Um,
Right.
so that can just make you not feel comfortable in your skin or just, have an image of what the aesthetic is, the beauty standard and everything. So my
Yeah.
kids don't have to worry about that. One of the things also that happened recently is Traore banned weave in the schools at all levels, from the primary levels, kindergarten up into the university levels. And so the purpose of that was to eliminate the divisions, also to eliminate distractions. Girls like shaking their hairs and just doing things real fancy. But since everybody doesn't have the same opportunity, it was for the purpose of just having a standard uniform hairstyle. Um, yeah, so I'm very hopeful. Skin lighteners, the sale and reception of those have been banned. So I see different changes leading up to like a complete liberation of African people, like psychologically, starting with psychologically. So that's why I do have the confidence in us being here. And it's just growing and growing as more and more things that are being implemented by the administration, the new administration.
That is amazing. Banning weave for the teachers and the principals. The president.
Oh no, it was connection issues, but I hear you now.
Oh yeah, I love the president for taking those steps in order to surround our kids with just Black beautifulness, and I love the idea of just having the opportunity of the cultural immersion. I want to ask you a little bit. I think we got to take another break. In Where's the time? I can't even see the time. Okay, yeah, we got a little time before the next break. But what I want to ask you about is specifically like part of the cultural immersion, in terms of living, really not visiting, living in West Africa is doing what you guys are doing, just taking responsibility, for the schooling. I notice how you got the lights, you got a backup for the light in case the lights go out. Those are all just, being responsible for how you're managing your day to day. What other some of the other things are you guys doing? Are you farming, or like what are some of the other ways in which you guys are kind of just, I would say, stepping into even more responsibility than you were perhaps here in the US?
Uh-huh. We well, we definitely have to have resources here to just accommodate the unpredictable things. Making sure we stocked up on water, because that's another thing with the water cuts that do happen in the city. We've My family personally has started a garden. So when we came to this house, we actually moved into another home uh, about 6 months ago. And so there's mango trees, guava trees, a few moringa trees in our yard already. Um, and also we started growing something called ozay. It's just hibiscus, uh, the hibiscus plant. The flowers are edible. It makes a good sauce, as does the moringa. Being that the diet here, which you can probably relate to since you've been living in Ghana, is it's toe, which is the pounded corn flour, and that goes with the sauce, kind of like fufu and sauce.
Right, right.
Yeah, so we got some carrots growing, but all of that is definitely been helping financially, because instead of purchasing the leaves that I need at the market, I just go outside, and I'm able to harvest the things from the garden and then throw it into the dish that I'm preparing in the kitchen. Um, and then, I mean, that's the main thing right now. We've just moved into this new place, so kind of trying to build up
Right.
the children while we're here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I can't wait to get into more farming on the continent. That's something that is a current, reality that, no matter where you live, you should really be thinking about how to get, how to increase your access to uh, healthy food and food that what happened to it because you were involved in growing it. And
Yeah.
then not to mention the food prices. So how is the economy there doing with that? With our Is it pretty stable in terms of purchasing staples and stuff, just whatever you would purchase from the markets and clothes and stuff like that? How does that look there?
Okay. The prices stay pretty stable. I haven't noticed any inflation or anything in the
Oh
prices.
wow. Oh, oh,
Yeah.
Ghana, the Ghana inflation, and you saw my face when you said it. I could just cry if I think about it. Oh my
Uh-huh.
goodness. Yeah. We had another comment too from Mama Zelda. She was just saying that, it's really nice to hear just such positive, feedback from someone um from the continent. Because, if you don't know Nazezia, we get a lot of trash going through the media over here. So it is not, really what people think at all. The other thing I wanted to get into, possibly before we get into the next break, I want you to talk a little bit about your work with the Earth Center and some of the things that you guys have going on, organizationally here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the Earth Center, it offers membership, and that's how you get access to a lot of opportunities. Um, so, you have access to forums. There is the goal to bring together people like you. You've actually, I mean, you're not a member, but, you participated in one of the podcasts. So we're just trying to bring that conversation about changes that can be happening in the community within the West, but also, how can we bring bring aspects of the culture to help improve the situation of Black people. And so we do have some projects. There's an educational fund for children, because it's good for the children from over here to be able to navigate the modern educational system, so that they can, kind of go back and forth. Yeah, go back and forth. But at the same time, they are getting the Indigenous education. There's a displaced people's project due to terrorism, which is a reality in some of the, the surrounding areas in the bush in particular. A lot of families, a lot of people have been forced out of their traditional villages where they have like their ancestral shrines. They have the means of producing their own food into the urban cities. So that's another project that is helping to bring in resources for them.
Wow.
And then also, and so the difference with these projects is that they've been initiated by the people who are actually here. So there's not like the pretense of, coming in to help them and then collecting the revenue and just putting it in your pocket, as is the tendencies of like a lot of these paternalistic organizations that you see from the West. Then
I love
also,
that. Let's put a pin in that statement right there, Nazezia. You said it, not me, and I'm so glad you said it. It sounds so much better coming from you.
underscore. So let's see. And there's also projects just, building wells and, like I said, securing the land. So all of that information, if anybody's interested, they can go to theearthcenter.org and get more information about, how to contribute. Also, there are, initiation classes that are opening up at this moment. And so, that's something that's been kept secret for a long time. We're not really, trying to publicize that or anything, but if anybody is interested in reconnecting with their ancestral roots, then that's also something that people gain access to or can gain access to through membership.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Those are just a few things.
Yeah. I like what you guys are doing. I always have like the things that you're doing. And so that's just been one of the things that I've enjoyed about having the Earth Center in Chicago. It's very accessible. And even though it's not super publicized, it's still I've found it to just be kind of open, and very informative for the community of those who like to venture, into retouching with the African background. Yeah, so I've always appreciated the organization and the publications that Casabez works on, the magazine and all of that. Yeah, that's one of the few magazines that I try to get a copy of and actually read it whenever I can get access to it. Yeah, so that's really important. That's really important.
So you mentioned Chicago. The Earth Center will be involved and present at some of the Juneteenth events that are coming up this month.
Cool.
Sabo, all of that.
Okay, good. That's really, really good. Now, what about this is another thing I'm hoping you will help me to articulate. I found that, especially people like us that are immersed in the Earth Center, from the African Center schooling and all these different things. We do a lot to reconnect here in the Chicago area, but I really felt like being on the continent, especially in West Africa, um, and maybe I'm biased about that because I've only been to West Africa, but I felt like the level of cultural immersion just kind of blew me out of the water. And as much as we work so hard to stay in tune here in the U.S., um, I just find that it doesn't even come close to you know having cultural day for the children at school to come to school and their fathers traditional cloths and that type of thing. It's nothing like that. As black as Chicago is, okay, it's still very, very significantly ups the ante, if I could say that, being on the land.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear your thoughts about that, especially with the school, and that we work so hard with our children here. We try to teach them all this different stuff, and I get to Ghana and I'm like, they're 3 year olds speaking three languages and have perfect penmanship. And what are they doing in these classrooms? So I just want to hear your thoughts about that.
Yeah. Um, I agree. The cultural immersion, that's something that, I felt like I was missing when I was back in Chicago. I mean, you can hear people's stories and you can read about it, and um, it's like your spirit has to be over here to absorb all of that. And so it really becomes tangible once you are surrounded by it. As far as my children, they function better when they're immersed in the culture because things that are the norm here, say for instance, when you greeting elders, like I said, me and my husband, we went down on our knees. The same thing with children. There's a certain way you greet, or even the act of just greeting. Period. Like here, people do rounds.
Right.
You do rounds where in the morning or when you have the opportunity throughout the day, you go over to somebody's house, and then if you're passing somebody else's house who is in that direction, and you stop and you greet them too. And it's like you're bringing everything that comes with you. You bring in that spirit of your ancestors. You bring in the fact that you're thinking about somebody, and so it's something that the children here, they've just been trained to do from a young age. So I noticed that my kids, when they go back over to the U.S., understandably, they'll feel awkward. There was actually a time when one of the elders from over here traveled to the United States, and so she explained to me she saw my child at his grandfather's house where she had been brought to just meet my husband's father. And so my son, he like dipped off, he like ran past her. So he's just trying to avoid greeting in a traditional way, that obligation. So it's kind of like a shame that comes from the concept of humility that you'll encounter in the West, but it's not here. Here, humility is emphasized as something that is really valued. Um, bringing back your yields to your family. Say, for instance, if you're giving anything, a gift, if you're giving a sandwich, the children will be thinking, okay, I'm going to take some back so that my auntie can have some. And you see them light up. I get to share this with my family back at home. So I like that my kids have the opportunity to absorb observe that. And then also there's the built-in support system. Like if you don't see other people doing the same thing, if it's not reinforced day after day after day, then that element of wanting to keep whatever it is just naturally not going to be there.
Wow. I want to take a quick break. This is our last break. But I want to pick back up with this topic. This is getting deep into my spirit, man. Because it just, you make your own observations, but it's a whole different thing when somebody else, makes it. So let's do a quick break, and then we'll hop back in to this great, great, great podcast. Thank you, Nazezia.
You're welcome, Cicely.
We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, Hola. In Italy, Ciao. In Egypt, Ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, Akwaba. In Nigeria, Peleo. In South Africa, Sawubona. In Senegal, Nangadef. In Kenya, Jambo. In Israel, Shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. Join us live on the on-air radio network called 727-731-5192. We want to talk to you.
Okay, we are back, and thank you for joining us, Nazezia, live from Burkina Faso, our newest favorite, most favoritist country. Uh, we are having a love affair with Burkina Faso in America right now. You should know. So before we hop back into that, what we were talking about earlier, because I want to get into that, the topic of the cultural immersion and how it's personally affecting us and our children. We had another comment or question. Basically, the question is, what are people in Burkina Faso being told about us here? Like, how do they see us? You know, is it the stereotypical imagery that's put forth on that same CNN that I have banned my audience from looking at, or is it, like, what are they saying about us in Burkina Faso?
Okay. Well, when I talk to people, even strangers, some of them don't know where Chicago is. So the reputation that Chicago has. It kind of varies. America in general, there's the whole concept of the American dream. Yes, people are perceived as very wealthy. Motos are the typical way that people get around here. So if you have an automobile, then it's like, there's some perceived status that comes with that. Let's see. In terms of the history of the people who were taken to the United States and other countries via the transatlantic slave trade, I'm not sure what the familiarity is with that. I mean, because you have so many different people. Some people go through the colonial system and they get exposure through the textbooks, but then you have people who maybe stay in villages, and they come into the cities and they live in the cities, but their education is purely clearly from an indigenous perspective.
Yes,
Home training.
indigenous and hyper local. Yeah.
Yeah. So I even asked when I got over here, I found myself in a position of the history of that. So, like somebody with the shop. Because when you get here, you come and you kind of have like the composure of an American. You hold your body like an American. Yeah, like it's not just the skin color, although they'll notice if you're lighter skin, then I will hear people, and it's mainly the little kids, Tubabu, Tubabu, Tubabu. They have their little songs and things about the Tubabu, which is basically a word that means colonized person or Westerner. Yeah, and so, I understand some of that. That probably just comes from the parent and some perception that the parents have about people who come from across the ocean. And I do, I have conversations where I'm like, I am African. No, I don't consider myself like a Westerner per se, but I'm trying to learn while I'm here. But people are generally welcoming. Like people I know personally, they're welcoming. People even out there, it's more kind of like a curiosity because they haven't seen a white person here. A lot of them, they haven't seen light skinned people here. It's like people are of a darker complexion, and so people want to know, what language you talk, where do you come from. People want to teach you their languages. Here is something called Jola. That's one of the common languages, Amore. So it's like when I step out, I kind of go back and forth as far as I can with the yeah.
Wow. So they're really not into like the whole hip hop thing and all of that.
It's the younger people who are into the hip hop. Like today is a Muslim holiday. So there's this big house across the street from me. And it's like every time there's some type of Muslim holiday, because the city is predominantly Muslim, but then also there's another half that is Christian. But I noticed, they come out. The last Muslim holiday everybody had on their traditional garbs. I think that was Eid. This Muslim holiday, I'm not sure what it is, but the kids are out in their hip hop clothes and their jeans and their this what do you call it? What do young people call it? Stunting or whatever. They got their cars or whatnot, and they're posing in front of this house that don't even belong to them, so that they can put it on TikTok or whatever. So it's interesting.
Oh, so wow.
Yeah.
So they getting some information about some of us over here.
Yeah, but I think that's true. They have their their perception of the Western persona. That's in the city. If you go into the bush, then I'm sure it's different. Like even when I've gone to the Togolese bush, I noticed because the Earth Center did have its 30th year anniversary celebration, and so people came from the Bermachi community, the Tim community, the local community to pay their respects to the leadership of the Earth Center. And so the music that was there, that was being played by the young people, because you had warriors, you had the different classes of society, but there were young people, and the songs that were being sung were parables about life, about nature, about your coast house, or because this was the setting, it's a traditional setting, whatever it was, And so I guess these are things to help those people in that setting to face different challenges that they have in life. So it's just interesting. I really noted that, the music is uplifting. It tries to empower people, as opposed to when I'm in the US, I hear lyrics when family, friends come together. I'm smoking this, I'm drinking this, I love this person, etc.
Yeah. So I'm around young people a lot, and sometimes I ask them, "Is that how you want to start your morning?" So, but yeah. So just to close us out, I just want to know, like, is this uh, what would you say to people who are kind of maybe thinking about and wondering about, especially West Africa right now? Would you recommend they come for a visit? Is this a lifestyle that you think is qualitatively more beneficial than what we might be pursuing here in the US? Like, would you recommend people start making their way over where you are?
Uh-huh. That's a good question. I know Burkina Faso is definitely in the spotlight with everything that Charo has been doing in terms of sovereignty. Um, let's see, what time? One moment. In terms of sovereignty, the Guardian comes sometimes at this time. But he got the key, so don't worry about it. And then also, Burkina Faso is very progressive with the administration right now. So I definitely would advise that people are looking to come over here. Look, my brother, he was warning me, my sister too. Like sometimes I pick up my phone, there's a picture of, okay, this massacre happened, this violence happened.
Oh God.
No greeting, just a picture or a link. And so now it's those same people reaching out to me asking, hey, you got some space over there? So things are definitely on the up and up. As far as the economy, there's going to be better opportunities. I'm sure you've heard about the tomato production plants.
Yes.
So, tomatoes grown here, they're not going to have to be like shipped out, exported and then imported just so that they can make a profit to make tomato paste. Tomato paste can be made over here. It's just different, things like this. Roads are in the process of being built. That's another thing that's happening. Instead of those roads leading to cargo ships that's going to export something again, they're leading to communities and things. So it's all about building right now. And as far as the currency, the president is in the process of having the gold peg currency, which is also going to be good for the economy. Right now, the currency exchange, things are going to be cheap if you're coming from the West because the USD has more value. So, I don't know. The first example I have is like getting microblades done. Like over here, that just costs like maybe a couple of dollars. So, concept and apply it to other things, you can kind of see the.
Yeah, that's a huge difference.
Yeah. But man, everything's good. The fresh foods, you don't have to worry about all the pesticides.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, just to raise a family, I really think it's great. Not all of the extra influences. I mentioned to you before. Can you hear me, Cicely?
Yeah, I can hear you. That's the fresh market. That's the market that I'm at right now.
Okay, I'm gonna try to be quick. When I came over here, there was the pandemic going on. So still people are all about community, like, to distance people because they're sick is just something that's completely foreign. My kids had chicken pox. I didn't know it was chicken pox until I brought it around the grandma who, could identify the people who knew what it was. And I'm like, should I go? And they're like, no, you don't go. It's just something, it's something natural. You get it and then it's gone.
Right.
And then, yeah, the other thing is, I forgot what I was going to say. But there's definitely lots of opportunity.
I love it. I'm glad you had time to come on and share everything that you share with us. A lot of your observations really uplifted my spirit. I don't know about nobody else, but yeah, because I just appreciate your perspective. I appreciate you guys for taking the chance and going over there and building and doing what you're doing. Big ups to you, and I'm gonna give a small big ups to my man Casabez. He did good this time, Zezzy. Okay, so I'm gonna give him a little. I'm gonna give him a little bit of a break. Okay.
Can
Yes,
I
and I love it.
Can
Yeah.
I add one thing? So the thing with the talks about terrorism, because I do want to just talk about the safety
Okay.
issue, with that's a concern for people. Um, you have to keep in mind terrorism is happening because with the things that happened in the Middle East, a lot of weapons were being supplied by the West, and they got into the wrong hands, and so now they've kind of infiltrated into other areas within Africa. And so Traore, the president, he is working on this issue. Sometimes, though, the information is reported, is there's misinformation. For instance,
Right.
if you see these civilians, there's been 500 civilians who have been killed. What's left out of that phrase is that these were actually, rebels who were equipped with,
Combatants. Yes.
yeah, from the West. And so it's like, I was wondering the same thing too. Like, how are things being reported over there? Because over here, like, there's even been media stations shut down for that purpose. Since like France is putting out so much stuff, the United States is putting out stuff. So I see positive things, but that was just my concern. What are people in other places seeing? Um, there were some journalists who were, they were reporting. They were from over here, and they were reporting all of these things. So they disappeared. And what happened is, after some weeks, they resurfaced. Traore had put them on the front line so that they could see what was really going on. Fighting was really going on. Money wasn't being wasted on this or that. Stories weren't being made up about conflict. So those journalists were like, so grateful to Traore for giving me the opportunity to see how things.
Right. Right. With their big budgets from their employers, which they could have looked into it for real at first, but it's okay. That's why the president is the president, and so he handled it correctly.
Yes. So
You
things
so
are just
yeah. I'm sorry. What was you saying?
on an everyday basis. Things are calm here, tranquil. I have not heard bullets. I have not heard bullets at all. One time, the military was practicing when I was, we had taken a trip out to the bush, so we were like alarmed. But then, we saw that they were practicing range. That was the one time I ever heard bullets. So that's what I was going to mention. There was all of this in the news about Black boys being targeted by the police, mistaken for criminals. And so I had 3 boys and 1 on the way. And so it was a relief for me to be leaving that and to come to a place where Black people are not targeted. The Black lives matter. There's value in our life, and our ability to thrive. That's something that's honored. So that's all I wanted to add.
Well, I appreciate you for sharing that. That was definitely something we all definitely wanted to hear on. I could tell you right here on the South Shore, I've heard bullets almost every night, for the last couple of weeks.
Sorry.
Maybe every other night. So sometimes people need to think about the safety that they're not living in America before they start, delving into what's going on in West Africa, because at this point it's still safer than Chicago. Okay, let's just keep it 100. So
Mhm.
uh, and we gotta just tell the truth on that piece. So but
Right.
I appreciate you so much, Nazezia. I hope you will have time maybe later in the season, um towards the end of the summer here. I hope to have you back on again. And just let us just vibe, as moms, and that type of thing. If anybody's in Chicago right now and you're not at the South Shore Farmers Market, you're missing a lot of fun out here. Okay, we'll be out here for another couple of hours, and we'll be here every Sunday from 8 to 3. And if you're not up on the Earth Center and the work that they're doing, their publications, their books, their herbs, their classes, put yourself up on it and check them out online and see what you can learn and what you can connect to in terms of your traditional African cultures. And thank you, Nazazia. Say hi
Thank
to
you.
everybody. Say hi to
Well,
everybody for us. Yep, love you guys.
thanks
Thank
for the
you.
support, for the invitation.
Yep,
This
thank you so
is
much.
I didn't know I had so much to express, and I'm glad, that anything that was helpful to people, I'm glad to be in a position to share that with you.
Thank
And I love you. You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We've come to the end of our
I'm
show
62,
today. If
ripped,
you missed
and I
any
inspire
broadcasts, go
menopausal
to our
women to have a
website for the
20-year-old
audio
body
and
at
video
55
archives
with Tai
at
Chi walking.
www.thefemalesolution.com.
And I'll prove to you that it works
On
in
behalf
this
of our
video.
team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jareh. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.